What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and in today's video I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about Bleach Rebirth of Souls, because here, courtesy of IGN, we have an exclusive interview, I guess, with the producer of the game and why it will be more than another run-of-the-mill anime fighter. Now this actually came out the same day as that new gameplay trailer, but I never got around to reading it for myself or covering it in a video for you guys. And even though I'm a few days late to checking it out, I figured there might be a bunch of you out there who hadn't read this for yourself and hadn't heard about it, and I still haven't either. So I figured it'd be worthwhile reading and talking about and discussing. So let's just go ahead and jump straight into it. Bleach Rebirth of Souls will reintroduce fans to the anime's first two major story arcs, which is Soul Society and Arrancar. And by the order, would that technically be Substitute, Soul Reaper, and then Soul Society? No, because they said it's going up to Arrancar, so maybe they're not counting Substitute Soul Reaper as its own arc. But regardless, during Anime Expo 2024, Bandai Namco shocked fans by announcing a brand new 3D fighting game, Bleach Rebirth of Souls. Much like Bandai Namco's other hotly anticipated anime fighter, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, it's been well over a decade since we've last seen a Bleach game, and expectations for it are understandably at an all-time high. I wouldn't even say that's necessarily the case. Hopes for it are at an all-time high. Expectations are on the floor. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what they've shown us so far, it looks good, it looks promising. My expectations are still pretty low, I'm not gonna lie. Piggybacking off of Bleach Rebirth of Souls' newly released gameplay trailer, which saw a recreation of Ichigo Kurosaki's battle against Byakuya Kuchiki, IGN spoke with producer Katsuaki Suzuki about how the game will differentiate itself from other titles in the series and what players can expect out of its swordplay-centric combat once it releases on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and Steam. Anime arena fighters have a track record of having a short shelf life in players' minds, in part because their gameplay tends to lack depth beyond their bread and butter strategies that are sussed out within the honeymoon period of their release. This is partially true. It's also partially because, like, regardless of like a lack of depth, the games just normally don't function very well. It just normally doesn't seem like a whole lot of love and care put into them, because I would say that the Naruto Storm series, right? I always bring those games up because I feel like as far as anime arena fighters go, there's some of the best ones that were ever made, up there with like Kill la Kill, and then you also have there's like those Gundam games that I'm not a big fan of, but I can't say that they're bad games, especially because I've only ever played Gundam Versus, which was like okay, but wasn't really for me. But there's not a whole lot of really good arena fighters out there. Like I said, a lot of the ones that were made by Spike Chunsoft in the last decade or so, not particularly great games, and like lack of depth in the combat isn't like the biggest reason why. It's part of it, but it's not even like the biggest reason, in my opinion. Because Storm doesn't have like the most deep combat. Now there's more depth to it than people give it credit for, because it is a lot more than just mashing circle constantly. Like there is other parts to that game. But like it's not Tekken, it's not Street Fighter, you know what I mean? It's not even Dragon Ball Fighters, you know what I'm saying? So Suzuki says Rebirth of Souls will distinguish itself from the pack by incorporating the anime's intricate power systems into the DNA of its gameplay, resulting in an enthralling ebb and flow of mechanically rich battles, which we've already seen a little bit so far with like the Konpaku and the Reishi and everything like that. So, excuse me. And they've also shown us that the game's going to have awakenings and things like that as well. And then this is the trailer. While developing the game as excuse me, I got the hiccups a little bit. I'm trying to like not hiccup into the mic, but they kind of beat my ass right now. I just drank water before this, it did not help. Sorry. While developing the game as a fighting action game, we delved into details from Bleach like Reishi, Konpaku, spiritual power, and spiritual pressure. After looking into that, we were surprised by how the worldview had been created in detail and how well those features aligned with our game concept in the fighting action genre, Suzuki said. For example, Konpaku, which represents the concept of the soul in Bleach, is constructed with Reishi. Drawing inspiration from that concept, we set Reishi as a health gauge in the game, and players can break the Konpaku to decrease Reishi, he added. We introduced systems that allow players to experience reversals, such as breaking Konpaku with a single strike, or enhancing power through transformations to facilitate breaks. In action game layman's terms, Rebirth of Souls combat is like a pastiche. I'm actually not familiar with that word. Matter of fact, let me Google it real quick. Pastiche, what does that word mean? Seldom do I come across a word about in an article about an anime game that I'm not familiar with. An artistic work and style that imitates the art of another work, artist, or period. Okay. Sekiro's stagger swordplay, Tekken 7 reversals, and Smash Bros. Ultimate stock health bar system, wherein players win battles by destroying an opponent's 9 stocks or Konpaku. Although Suzuki referred to established action games like the Naruto Ninja Storm games, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R, Tekken 7, and Dragon Ball FighterZ when making Rebirth of Souls, Rebirth of Souls feels authentically Bleach to fans new and old. I know that Bleach is loved by fans worldwide, so I have been eager for the opportunity to work with this IP, Suzuki says. We know that there is strong enthusiasm from Bleach fans, and I want to develop a new Bleach game for modern high-spec platforms, especially since it is also around the timing of the 20th anniversary of Bleach. that all sounds good. He's saying all the right things. It does excite me just a little bit, but not too much. I try to keep my expectations in check and temper my hopes and dreams and everything like that. But Bleach definitely is a very passionate fan base that I feel like has been on the receiving end of a lot of unnecessary hate and just a lack of like love and support in games. And I just never really understood why Bleach. I mean, I get it is kind of like the little brother in the big three between like Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, and then we always say Bleach last when we say those three. At least I always do. And it's also like the youngest of the three, right? That series came out in like the early 2000s. Bleach and Naruto, sorry, One Piece and Naruto came out in the 90s. Like it deserves more love and credit than I think that it gets at times when we have like these anime wars and debates and conversations, especially like when I see it on Twitter. Like One Piece fans, for whatever reason, I feel like they hate Bleach more than they hate Naruto, and I thought like One Piece and Naruto fans had like this ongoing war since I was a kid. I don't know. But that being said, they also say for modern high-spec platforms, I mean, the game's coming out on like PS4 and stuff, and like the previous generation. So as you know, I'm saying it might be just a little bit better if it was a PS5 and the latest Xbox. I always forget the naming system for Xbox, so forgive me. But it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. It's an anime game at the end of the day. How advanced would it have been if it was like only on current gen? Who knows? A balanced shonen fighting game. Arguably the most difficult challenge in making Rebirth of Souls was integrating major tenets of the anime's unique power systems. While Rebirth of Souls naming conventions may prove intimidating to prospective players on first blush, Suzuki stressed that players won't be required to have an overfamiliarity with Bleach's encyclopedic power structure to enjoy the game and eke out a victory. Rebirth of Souls will also come with a comprehensive in-game play guide, tutorials, and a user-friendly battle UI to make it easy to understand. The UI actually does look pretty good. I actually am a little bit impressed with how clean it looks. Akin to standard action games to ensure first-time players aren't lost in the sauce of Bleach's unique flavor of shonen anime power schemes. In contrast to Spark Zero, whose producer hinted that the game would reflect the anime ensemble's power scaling with unbalanced battles, Rebirth of Souls characters were designed to have an equal win rate with another, which we know won't be the case. Inevitably, there's going to be some characters in that game that are definitely stronger than others. But I like the attempt at obviously trying to create a well-rounded, balanced roster, regardless of which I'm going to have my favorite side characters. I'm interested in going to be like Yoruichi, Byakuya, Toshiro, some of my favorites, Okyo, Grimmjow, you know what I'm saying? They're going to be like some of the characters I'm looking to try, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully they're pretty decent, they're pretty fun, pretty cool. Our game concept revolves around the reversal experience, and each character is really unique, especially their Zanpakuto, the weapons wielded by Bleach Shinigami, which offers multifaceted abilities, Suzuki said. Each character retains distinct features. Some characters excel in speed, while others focus on heavy power, and some are good at attacking from a distance, zoners. Additionally, each character can enhance their abilities through awakening. In that regard, some characters are easy to handle even for casual gamers, while others cater to more core action gamers. So there's actually going to be a difference in like the ease of use of these characters and like how complex they are. Okay, I like what I'm hearing, or reading rather. However, every character has a chance to reverse the situation, ensuring that all have an equal chance to win. Historically, Bleach has been noticeably out of the gaming zeitgeist in comparison to its fellow Big Three shonen contemporaries, Naruto and One Piece, as I mentioned earlier. And as mentioned earlier, it's been 13 years since Bleach characters have graced a video game. That is, if you don't count their appearances in 2019's anime Oscars-esque Arena Fighter, Jump Force, which we do not. Jump Force was garbage. The last fully fledged Bleach game was Bleach Soul Resurrection for the PlayStation 3, which I've actually never played for myself. I've seen gameplay, but I never actually played it. Bleach Soul Resurrection received middling reviews from critics, including our own, where we said the game had a simple yet enjoyable Dynasty Warriors-esque combat system that players wouldn't be missing out on if they passed it up, which I never owned a PS3, so I never even had a chance to play it. And then here we have some screenshots, which look really good, man. Real nice. This game visually it's gorgeous, but we already knew that. As far as the Big Three are concerned, time hasn't slowed down the output of games, with recent released titles like Naruto X Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections, which is a flop, and One Piece Odyssey, which I heard was actually pretty good. I didn't play it for myself, but from what I hear from the One Piece fans, they actually quite enjoyed that game. A classic turn-based action RPG that Suzuki produced. Oh, so the producer... So he produced One Piece Odyssey, not Connections, right? That's good to know. When approaching Bleach Rebirth of Souls, Suzuki said the upcoming anime action game will be an exception to the trend of anime action games by having a combat system that is as complex as its beautifully rendered 3D models. The only thing that concerns me about this, I'm cautiously optimistic, because given the track record of anime games and of anime arena fighters, we haven't even gotten games that are good that are trying to keep it simple and follow the same format. You know what I mean? Like even Hinokami Chronicles, which used Storm obviously as its skeleton, wasn't nearly as good as I believe it could have or should have been. That being said, I said it before, I'll say it again. If Hinokami Chronicles ever gets a sequel of any kind or like a big update, I'm back in there, because that game was fun. It just was flawed more than I was willing to accept. But I think like with some effort and a couple of upgrades here and there, you know, a little bit of elbow grease, that game could be really good. But that being said, I was saying to say, like, even with keeping it simple and like not trying to like push the envelope, these games haven't been good. So it's like, I like the sound of like, oh, we're trying to make this unique and complex and interesting. It's gonna be real, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be loyal to Bleach fans. Y'all gonna love it. Like, that sounds good. Sounds like y'all might be biting off more than you can chew, but I would love to be proven wrong. You know what I'm saying? People have tried to keep it simple and failed. So if you're trying to make it complex, it's making that job that much more difficult. But wishing you all the best, because I want the game to be sick, and so far so good from what we've seen. Each of the previous Bleach games published by other companies have different features, and all of them captured the charm of Bleach. The development team played these games before starting the development of Bleach Rebirth of Souls and really enjoyed them. We learned the core features of Bleach like Bankai and integrated them into necessary components of an action game, Suzuki said. Thanks to the capabilities of new generation platforms, we tried to create a Bleach game that delivers cutting-edge visual expression in battle, which I think they're doing a great job of so far. Although Bleach has one of the largest casts of characters in shonen anime with more personalities and power sets being introduced in Bleach 1000 Year Blood War, the anime sequel series, which adapts the manga's final arc, Rebirth of Souls, will only feature characters from the anime's first two story arcs, Soul Reaper and Arrancar. Okay, so they substitute Soul Reaper and Soul Society, just called it Soul Reaper and then Arrancar. I've always known those to be separate, but it's not that big a deal. Them completing the Arrancar arc though, that's fine by me. You know what I'm saying? You throw the Espada in there, we good to go. You know what I'm saying? My favorite characters are really Byakuya, Toshiro, Yoruichi, Okio, and Grimmjow. So all my favorites are gonna be in the game, most likely. And if they're not in there, they're probably gonna be in there as DLC. But we already know Yoruichi is gonna be there. We haven't seen Toshiro, but come on, he's gonna be in there. You know what I'm saying? And this Espada could be DLC, but I doubt it. We'll see though. I'm curious to see what DLC is gonna look like for this game, because it's inevitable. It's 2024. We know what day and age we live in and where the gaming industry is at. There's gonna be DLC. This is the first Bleach game that Bandai as a company is introducing, and it's been a while since the last game was introduced, so we thought that it would be great to introduce these characters from the original arc to the Arrancar time period and introduce the history of these characters, how they met and how battles have taken place. That kind of makes sense. I mean, I feel like obviously 1000 Year Blood War is way more relevant, but there's probably not a ton of people. I'm sure there are some. There's probably not a ton of people who are watching 1000 Year Blood War that haven't previously read or watched Bleach to some degree. So if you're gonna be dropping a game in this day and age, you probably do want to start from the beginning, especially since it's been so long since we have gotten a Bleach game of any kind. Like I said, they said it's been 13 years. So, you know what I mean? It's not like the Storm series where it's like you could drop a new Storm game right now that just covers the story of Boruto and nobody, you wouldn't miss anything. Which, granted, I guess you could do that in general. But like the Storm games, they didn't do the entire story every single game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Storm 2, I think it ends with Pain, and then in Storm 3 you pick up like during the war, and then Storm 4 starts off like where Storm 3 leaves off. You know what I mean? In the middle of the 4th Great Ninja War. So with Bleach, it's a little bit different because it's been so long. Fans can look forward to more updates like Rebirth of Souls, playable character roster in the future as the game inches closer to its yet to be announced release date. And that is the end of the article. So not a ton of new information here, but I think it was worthwhile reading and talking about a little bit. I'm looking forward to the game, as we've already established at this point. Anytime some news, information, gameplay, whatever comes out, you can be sure that I'll be covering it here. Whenever the game does eventually release, I will be sure to be streaming it and creating videos on that, because I'm looking forward to it a lot. I'm not like the biggest Bleach fan in the world, but I like Bleach quite a lot. And I think in the very near future, I'm finally gonna get those second and third box sets so I can have the entire series on my manga shelf back there. Because I bought like the first 24 volumes of Bleach like 6 years ago, and I never bought the rest of it. Not because I wasn't enjoying it, but I just never made it a priority. But it might be about that time. It might be about that time. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I think that's gonna do it for today's video. No need to drag it on any further. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for all else content I bring you. With all that being said, that's pretty much off today. And remember, nothing can happen until you swing the bat. Later.